So I haven't been filming that much just because I've just been so focused on doing this stuff, and it's hard to basically multitask. Like, it's enough to think about what I'm actually doing than to have to film and all that. So I'm just doing so this will probably be part 2 because it's now January the 6th, 7th. Yeah, as you can see, it doesn't look like there's a lot of progress going, but I've patched a lot of the walls. It's all kind of ready to be painted. So these joists are still up, but I've been in contact with a company here called Revival, and they do salvage timber, and they also use it for store fit outs, and they make furniture out of it. So it's actually a really good, sustainable kind of business model. And so I chatted to Robbie yesterday. He's like super passionate about recycling and the sustainability of constructions and building and stuff like that. So we're going to try and see if we can work on some projects together where maybe the facade can be done with a bit of the timber that we salvage, or I want a table at the front for product display, and it's like a round dining table kind of style, and that could also be made out of the timbers. There's a few ideas floating around, but once the space is painted and the floor is done and everything is cleared, then I can get a better idea of what looks good. A lot of the construction at the front is going to be birch ply, and I think the store is going to be most likely pure white. There could be a mottled kind of lime wash white, but we don't know yet. But it's going to be a white with a birchwood ply, and we're going to see how that timber comes out, and depending on the finish, how it's going to play with that sort of material. This stage is about it. I don't know if I filmed this, but so I've recently taken out the kitchen cabinets. That sink is going to go to a different room because I could still reuse it, even though it's a bit but it's a sink, and it's big enough. Most of the sink at the back is like little hand basins, so they're too small to be practical with anything. So I'm going to swap one with that, maybe in the glazing room. And then I'm going to get a trough kind of sink, so it's one long skinny sink to go across that wall. Maybe not all the way, but it'll be 1.2, 1.5 meters wide. And that's going to act as a cleaning up area. It won't have a built-in glaze trap. It might, I don't know yet. Because of the way this is, the drain is actually quite high, like here. So for those who know about clay traps, often it's gravity fed. So basically you have a series of bucket, one lower than the other, and the water kind of just goes down. But if the drain is that far up, there's not a lot of room to have that fall. So what's going to happen is it's going to be a built-in clay trap where you put kind of a PVC pipe into the drain so that the water can't drain until it reaches a certain level. So all the clay gets trapped in the sink itself, and the water level will go up, and all the clean-ish water would just go in through the drain, and that's out. And I've seen a couple of studios that do that. The place I used to learn at Soka has a sink like that as well. So I do know that it works, which is good. But for the resident sink, that can have a proper clay trap because that drain is right on the floor. So that makes it a lot easier to do a series of buckets. I like doing it that way just because then you have a sink that's clear of water, then you can actually put things in it to wash it. But working with the limitations, that's fine. Yeah, so I would say this is start of part 2. I think my finish date is probably going to be pushed back a little bit just from seeing how much work that's popped up where I haven't really accounted for, and the fact that I didn't really plan to have breaks, and there was a couple of days where I just had to stop because I was so tired that my head was hurting. I couldn't think. It didn't feel right. So I took a couple of days off, and having the Christmas break and the New Year break was good, although I did start quite soon, right after New Year. But yeah, that's just something to be aware of. But it's getting there. I think it's getting there. All that joist, they are now down. So the space looks so much bigger. Yeah, it feels nice and open, which is great. So the next step is painting all the walls and the ceiling. I've got floorboards coming that I'll lay next week. And once those 2 jobs is done, I think the space is I can start thinking about the rest of it. Like I've got design for it, but I'll be able to actually see the space in one continuous square instead of like, right now it's so patchy that I can't, yeah, just the distance, it feels weird. Yeah, but the echo is getting worse, so we'll see. So the cleaner just came by today and removed all the rubbish here. It looks so much better. Like back up here. Oh, I can actually use this door now. It was fully covered with rubbish. So I've just finished doing the prime coat, and it's already looking a lot better, especially the ceiling. You can see there's a little bit of patchiness, but that's alright. Once the actual coat of white goes on, it'll be fine. The ceiling's also going to be a little bit glossier than this, but I think it's good because it shows the details quite well without it being too distracting. I can't wait to take the papers down and just be able to see what the light does in this room, but I think that's going to have to wait until after all the flooring is put in. So the painting is done. This is like the first major job where I feel like we're actually making a progress. A lot of the things I've been doing the last month and a bit now is just mostly demolitions and things that it's just not as major as this. So I think now that this ceiling, I'm so happy with the way it turned out. Obviously it's not perfect because it's like my first time using a paint sprayer. There are little areas where it's a little bit heavy, so there was a tiny bit of drip mark, but I brushed it, resprayed it, and it looks pretty good. And the walls I was a bit worried about the wall because the condition wasn't that great. And you can, if you look up into it, you can see a bit of texture here and there, but overall, I think it looks great. And once all the shelving goes in, you actually can't see the wall that much. Yeah, so tomorrow I'm gonna come in and start doing the floorboards. And I think with those two jobs done, if I can finish them all both this week, I'll be really happy. And it's gonna look so much better once the floorboard is in. It's still quite patchy, as you can see, but here you go, I've got all the floorboards here actually. So I've already posted this on Instagram, but in case you haven't seen it, this is what the floorboard's gonna look like. It's a bit dark. Let's see if I get more light. Yeah, so it's not too shiny, it's got a little bit of texture. It's a laminate flooring, so it's nothing special, but it's nice and big, so hopefully it'll be nice and easy to lay. Yeah. The flooring's finally done. I didn't get to take too much photos because I've just been busy doing it basically. It looks good. I think it feels a lot cleaner. I would never sit on the floor before I've done all this work because it just felt gross. So yeah, so I think now that this is done, so this to me would have been like what, kind of the stage 2. Like stage 1 was demolition and clearing on the space, and then stage 2 was more just refreshing the whole space. So the painting, the flooring, there's still a little bit to do back here in terms of that platform, but I can't do that until that sink is gone. So I've got a quote back for the 3-phase connection at the back to get the 2 kilns ready to go, which is very reasonable comparing to what I've seen before, so that's great. So it's about roughly $2,000, which makes a lot more sense than $16,000. But the guys who quoted the first one was going for an entire switchboard upgrade, and this time we're just doing an additional switchboard, so it's a lot cheaper. And what else? So plumbing, electrical, I think I'm gonna go pick up the wheels pretty soon and start unboxing it and putting it into the space. Next step for me to do is to design. I've kind of got the design already. I just need to build the workbenches. So there's going to be 2 workbenches that goes in this space and another one that goes to the back area. I'll do the one in here first because I think seeing how things are going, I think I'll focus on the front. And then once this is done, the business is launched, I can then work on the back, because the back doesn't require too much work. It's just more bit of painting and stuff like that, and the bathroom is the main one. So I think once this space is presentable, I can open the application for membership, and also get people coming in, have a tour, they can see the space and see if they want to give that a shot, and also build the displays for the retail space. But the workbenches come first, because if I have the workbenches, it makes building other stuff a lot easier. So I'll do that. And once the cabinetry is done for the display, the front is basically ready for a proper launch. So maybe once we've got a few people in, because I've only got 3 wheels in stock, and I've got one myself, so we can potentially have 4 people, but I think I'll start with 3, plus myself will be 4. So hopefully we can produce a bit of work, or if people have got existing stock, we can kind of stock up the retail space, and as soon as that's got a decent amount of items, we can launch that. So hopefully in a few weeks that can be a proper launch, but for now I'll get the applications open soon and just see what kind of interest I get in terms of memberships, and hopefully I can get people in within 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe the latest. Yeah, it's getting there.